Hi, another vlog before I sleep. First day of school after the holiday. And I am seeing more closely the little steps I make within each moment that ultimately fucks up my own experience of myself and who I am here. Also no longer, well, at first I tried to do what I was familiar with, which was to look at everyone for my self-worth and my self-standing, and then seeing exactly how I was doing that, I found that I could drop it and just remain here stable within myself. However, throughout the day at school, I managed to contain the pressure that I was placing on myself to study and to revise, and I bared it. I suppressed it rather than face it in the moment and clear it before it reaches a certain threshold where I can no longer control myself, so to speak, and I go into distraction. I go into anything and everything but studying, and as soon as I left school, came back home, at first I planned to have approximately 20-minute break between school and coming back home, then studying again. But then my mind or my ego is very clever. It implanted the ego as myself, as who I really am, implanted one single thought within me, like, oh, you can start at 30 minutes later and you can still get things done. And so that thought of 30 minutes later kept on manifesting itself until here at this point where I need to sleep in order to go to school tomorrow. And today I'd like to really deconstruct the point of how and why I am placing this pressure on myself to study while I am studying. Because that is the crucial difference between me studying and me watching television, for example. The actions in themselves, they're fine. They're absolutely okay. What isn't okay is who I am allowing and accepting myself to be while I'm studying, which creates this pressure, strain, stress, stress, strain, stress, speed, strain. Yes, I fell into doing what I was familiar with, which is always pretending and rationalizing in my mind with logic that I do not have time to revise, and I have to push myself, and I have to pressure myself. This deadline. And also, me as my ego constantly bombarding me with thoughts of, this isn't you, Casper, this isn't who you are, this isn't normal to be so disciplined. Look at your peers around you. They're not as disciplined. Why should you be? This isn't right. This is wrong. You should go back to what you are familiar with. And what was I familiar with? I was familiar with abusing and really throwing away the time that I have here for my own self-interest, to satisfy myself and to keep myself satisfied, out of a fear that if I ever walk out of my comfort zone, I will be threatened and there will be danger. It's unknown, scary. But really, what is more scary? Knowing that while I am watching television, that I am abusing and wasting and throwing away my time and limiting my own potential to become who I need to be, or an unknown experience of myself. But where I can constantly verify with simple mathematics that I am doing what I need to do to be what I need to become, to be significant, and effectively assist and support myself, and in the bigger picture, longer run, assist and support the world in the world's process of realizing that equality is an ideal that can be lived and has to be lived in order to be real. And also to stop the abuse that has been so extensively suppressed and hidden behind symbolism and symbols and deceit, lies. When I am watching television, I am lying to myself. In fact, I'm being dishonest because, in fact, that sense of satisfaction is not real. And by continuing to participate in watching television and wasting my time with it, it is me allowing it and accepting myself to desperately make this delusion real, this delusion of satisfaction from the starting point of doing what my mind tells me to do, doing what I am familiar with rather than doing what needs to be done. So self-corrective application with regard to pressuring myself while studying, while not pressuring myself while entertaining and stimulating myself with entertainment. To be watchful of the point of rushing myself and constraining, like freezing myself, to be watchful of freezing myself into a single self-definition of myself as me defining myself as what I am familiar with, like my past history of laziness, outright complacency, extensively hidden and suppressed self-hatred, and abdication of self-responsibility by projecting that self-hatred onto other people and treating that as if that were real, trying to escape from the responsibility that I actually have here to myself, to assist and support myself, and to care for myself. So, in other words, self-corrective application for tomorrow would be to pay closer attention to feelings of constraint or pressure, and in accepting that this pressure and strain is here, subsequently look at myself here and identify the self-definitions that I am still accepting and allowing to define me, and therefore stop me from doing what needs to be done at this moment for myself, at this stage, to actually support myself. Heroic effort is part of the polarity fuck-up of this world. It's just part of a cycle that keeps me within the mind and within my ego and wear me down until a position where I submit to the ego. But I do not submit. I do not submit to what I'm familiar with. I do not submit to the habits that I've allowed and accepted to define me. On a somewhat more positive note, I see myself actually getting more self-intimate with myself, proven by the greater number of points that I see within myself, and on average, the greater number of points that I see in every moment that is myself. So just to drill this into myself, self-corrective application once more. Acknowledge all points of resistance and find who I am allowing and accepting myself to be to justify such a resistance. Okay. Thank you for watching.